So today, Apple has made one of the biggest announcements they've made in over a decade. They've announced a brand new product line of VR and AR headsets that aim to immerse you in a new world called spatial computing. Now, as an avid user of VR and as somebody who has been using the Meta Quest 2, I do have a lot of thoughts about Apple's new product announcement and a lot of things that I'm excited to see developed further. Alright, I think the gimmick is over. I can go and take that off now. The Virtual Reality Pro. What an interesting product. It's really a hybrid device, to be honest with you. It's both a virtual reality headset and an augmented reality headset, depending on what you want it to be at any given time. I'd really argue it's more of a virtual reality headset, though, because it is completely enclosed, just like the Meta Quest 2, and there's a screen on the front that captures your eyes and uses different optical techniques to make it appear as if the device is transparent. I think that really reveals my big takeaway from the announcement. It's that they want to integrate VR and AR experiences into daily life and make it into something that is not only mainstream but also appears very normal and very useful. They're really arguing that spatial computing, and specifically augmented reality techniques, are going to really redefine how we immerse ourselves into content and how we collaborate with other people. And I think devices like the Meta Quest 2 and the Microsoft HoloLens, they all have their specific niche. The HoloLens is really good at trying to provide 3D objects and allowing you to interact with those. And the Quest 2 is really good at video gaming, providing kind of a versatile slew of experiences that developers can create. But Apple's Vision Pro is trying to target all of those audiences at once. They are trying to create an incredibly immersive cinematic experience by allowing you to toggle between augmented reality and virtual reality and bring a massive 4K screen to the forefront of your experience, and integrating spatial audio techniques to make it seem like you have an entire Dolby Atmos theater surround setup right on your head. They're also trying to target productivity experiences by providing an M2 chip built into the headset so that you can have very powerful applications run on device, which is again something like what the Meta Quest does, but it takes it a step further by bringing more professionally oriented applications to the device. It's all about app support and it's all about software integration. Now, the Meta Quest has a ton of developers that have made some really interesting applications for it, including productivity experiences such as Immersed, which allows you to create up to 5 virtual screens around you, but it doesn't really integrate professional applications that we're used to using on a day-to-day basis, such as Adobe Lightroom or Unity or Microsoft Office. But Apple has created native support for those types of applications with the Vision Pro, and they're really trying to combine this VR and AR holographic experience together. They also showed this factory production line, allowed people to go and interact with that and make adjustments to it and run real-time simulations on the Vision Pro. Something like being able to bring in a musical keyboard or a mixing station and create an analog for a real-life device, being able to touch them as if you're sitting right in front of them with a physical object, but actually having it simulated as a hologram. I think that's another really interesting thing. And also another thing that I think is a really strong point for the device is that it has support for all iPad and iPhone applications right out of the box, so that you can bring in apps like Twitter and iMessage and YouTube without having to go and take the headset off to interact with your phone. And that's something that only Apple would be able to do. Apple has designed this hardware from the ground up. They've also designed the R1 chip that integrates all of the camera devices and the sensors together to provide for a low latency experience. And plus, they've designed a completely new operating system, which provides an application framework as well as a framework for really directly accessing the specific hardware that they know that they've chosen for the headset. Whereas devices like the Meta Quest 2, they're designed from Android from the ground up. And Android is really designed to run on a phone. And plus, other devices are designed to run on the power of a PC. They don't really have any other integration with the sensors. And in fact, a lot of the sensors have to be external to the device for it to work. So it's really Apple's vertical integration, which I think is going to be a massive strong suit. And it's something that a lot of competitors don't have to offer. Now, I know Apple kept on saying that the device is unlike anything we've seen before, but I don't completely agree with that statement. There's a lot of experiences that I've had with the Meta Quest 2 that I think are comparable to what we're going to see, at least for the first generation. Like I mentioned earlier about extending the screens on my computer, different cinema experiences, and experiencing 3D video. That's stuff that we've seen as far back as 2013 with the Google Glass. However, I don't think any product has integrated all of those experiences so well together. And kind of stepping back from the technology for a bit and talking about the user experience as a whole, I really think that Apple has focused on some very important points. Number one is the weight of the headset itself. The Meta Quest integrates the battery as well as the optics as well as the motherboard right into the headset. It's heavy when you hold it on your head for a long time. And also the interface that it provides onto your face can get very hot and uncomfortable if you're wearing it for a long period of time. And don't even get me started on the band. It pinches your hair when you try to put it on, and you typically have to get the headset so tightly onto your head for it to just stay on that it leads to it really only being practical for you to use for short bursts. Based on the marketing for the Apple Vision Pro, I believe that they're really trying to target you being able to use this device for all day wear. Like I saw one ad in WWDC where a woman was packing her suitcase and she was able to use the Apple headset to go and pull up messages or to change her playlist or something, which I think is an incredibly important thing for the entire marketplace for VR and AR headsets to look at moving forward. An interesting choice they made was to separate the battery pack from the unit and make it so that it's something that you have to carry externally in your pocket. I think that was actually a fantastic move on their part, because having a cable stick out is honestly not that intrusive, but having that extra weight added to the headset is going to be intrusive after a while. And it also seems like the materials and in the interface to your face is very well thought out, and it allows for very micro adjustments very easily for the headband, which is a very important thing to consider for a headset. And plus, they do sell a lens attachment so that people who have prescription lenses like I do can go and get separate lenses designed for their headsets and get that placed in and integrated into the headset without having to smash an entire headset on your face with your glasses. This is not the most comfortable experience in the world. And I mean, for the price and for the flexibility of the Meta Quest 2, I think that's a fantastic compromise. But I'm really happy to see that Apple is stepping back from the technology itself and really considering the user experience as a whole. One thing Meta has done well in the past year is adding hand gestures to the control for the Meta Quest 2. But Apple has designed their Vision Pro with gestures at the forefront of the user interface. In fact, they don't even have a controller that ships with the device itself. One point that I thought was really important that they made was that you can really leave your hand in whatever position feels the most comfortable for you and be able to go and control the device wherever. Also, another thing that they advertised was sophisticated eye tracking built into the unit. I believe that's something that the Meta Quest Pro includes in their headset, and that's another very useful feature for context awareness. Like, if it's able to track my iris and know exactly where I'm looking, then you can go and, let's say, look at a search field in Safari, and then it'll allow you to just start dictating whatever you're thinking. And I'm hoping that that really extends to other kind of mouse click type things, such as highlighting stuff. Maybe if I go and stare at something for a long time, that can serve as something like a haptic press or something like that. I think that's another very interesting way to control a device that I haven't really seen other manufacturers consider. Now, I would like to talk a little bit about why I think VR and AR is very useful for productivity experiences. I think the first big thing is that it allows you to go and take advantage of very high resolution screens and extend your workspace out. Now, what Apple is doing with AR is they're making it so that you can run multiple apps side by side, and what other applications I've seen do is make it so that you have virtual screens so that you can have even more working real estate. It will kind of be like combining your iPhone, your MacBook, and your iPad all together into one. Now, whenever I enter productivity experiences in my Quest 2, it's really so that I can have a lot of focus. I go and create a virtual environment that is very wide and open, and then I can go and spread my screens around that. And I typically like to make my screens nice and big so that it's like I'm surrounded by a massive, like, 120-inch monitor, and then make it so that I have to go and physically move my head to go and look at another element such as a file browser or a preview of the video that I'm editing. It also makes it so that I can view certain elements, certain files in much greater detail. You know, right now, I don't think it's really socially acceptable yet to walk into a coffee shop and strap on this big headset, but I'm really hoping the Vision Pro from Apple makes something like that more socially acceptable, because realistically, nobody can put in 4 screens into a backpack and set that all up within seconds at a coffee shop, but that's what I do every single day when I'm at home and I'm editing on my MacBook using this VR headset. I'm able to sit in bed and lay down physically and move the screen so that they're right in the perfect field of view for me, so that I can go and edit the video while I'm laying down in the most comfortable position possible. And that's really what this enables you to do. It enables you to create more comfortable experiences, more intuitive experiences, and obviously more immersive experiences. And one other very important point of consideration when comparing this to really specifically the Meta Quest Pro is privacy. You know, Meta is definitely not the company that you probably would consider to be the best with user data. And although Apple is a big tech company, and although they do obviously make a lot of money from selling advertising, privacy is something that is at the forefront of their advertising. They claim that a lot of data is stored and processed on device, and they also tote their end-to-end encryption. I'm not sure how much you can read into these claims, and I'm not sure how much data they do actually sell, but I do know that they haven't had any massive scandals like Facebook has had in the past. So for a device that is as personal, that integrates so deeply into my personal life, that's definitely data that I'd rather have in the hands of Apple Corp than I would in the hands of Meta. Alright, I've come to that point where it's time to address the elephant in the room, which is that price tag. Holy crap, $3,500 for this headset. I would say that probably eliminates about probably 99% of consumers that would be purchasing this headset. I mean, I'm a college student. I could barely afford to go and justify purchasing this Meta Quest 2, so I definitely am not going to be purchasing the Apple Vision Pro. So you might be saying, Mindtech, why are you even talking about the Apple Vision Pro then? If you don't plan on buying it because you definitely can't afford it, why would you even care? Well, my biggest thing is that I'm excited about the product line as a whole. And I'm excited to see where this AR and VR headset takes Apple within 3, 4, 5 years. I know for a fact that it's going to get cheaper next year, and I also know for a fact that they're not going to keep on only selling their top-of-the-line Pro product. I think the way this product was created was that the Apple executives told their engineers to put as much product development as they could, the best, highest quality materials that they could, and they made it as expensive as they could possibly do. Why would they do this? Well, when you first sell a new technology, you're only going to get a very small subset of the entire marketplace that wants to buy into that. And they're going to not only be willing to put up with the issues of adopting a first generation product, but they're also going to be willing to spend a lot more for the new technology, because what they're invested in is trying out the technology, developing the technology, and just being on the bleeding edge of everything. What I'm thinking is that Apple is going to use this first generation product to really refine and develop the experience. Let app developers go and play around with it and really begin to create applications that can take advantage of the advanced technology in what Apple calls spatial computing, and make it so that the technology as a whole is going to be more appealing to the mass marketplace. And then in the second or third generation, that's when more people are going to start to want to get in. Eventually, they're going to have to lower the tier of the materials that they're using, of the research and development that goes into each next generation of it, and that's all going to bring down the price. You know, if you think about it, back in 2007, most cell phones were made of plastic, they were very low quality, and plus they only cost around $100 on the upper end of products. So when Apple went and released the iPhone that cost $500, people thought they were crazy. People thought they were crazy expensive, and nobody would ever want to spend that much money on a cell phone.
$500 fully subsidized with a plan? I said, that is the most expensive phone in the world, and it doesn't appeal to business customers because it doesn't have a keyboard.
But they were completely wrong. I mean, obviously, most people either have an iPhone or they have some sort of smartphone, and it definitely also got a lot cheaper as the years went on. Old generation iPhone went down in price, and Apple even released very cheap SKUs of the iPhone, such as the iPhone 5C and later on the iPhone SE, and that made it so that the price point appealed to a much wider variety of the marketplace. But they didn't do that on day one. They were targeting those innovators back in 2007, the people that would go and try out the iPhone and go and tell all their friends, hey, you should really get an iPhone. Then it appealed to the mass market. I'm really hoping that's what happens with the Vision Pro line of products for Apple. I could be completely wrong. It could be a complete flop like Google Glass, but I don't see Apple doing a flop. And that's why I'm really excited. I think that this type of product is going to really move the AR and the VR space ahead. And I'm really excited to see where the marketplace goes, what direction it will take them. So with that said, those are all the thoughts that I really have. I hope you enjoyed this very long video, and I will catch you all in the next one. Bye-bye.